Trump says that the honeymoon is over. What did he mean by honeymoon? Apparently, after Kamala, basically, what would you guys call what happened? Right? Because last time I checked, Kamala didn't get voted in, but I guess, she's in, whatever. But there was a time in the last month where all the polls showed that Kamala's going to win and all these different things. Well, here is CNN giving Kamala and the Kamala campaign a huge reality check as to what is happening. And Trump's been here before when it came to Hillary Clinton. Remember that in 2016? Remember all that craziness? So, but first, we must ask ourselves, where is Kamala Harris? Well, something's happening at CNN that they are starting to do some type of turnaround. Now, I could be wrong, but they're starting to ask the right questions. Let's take a listen.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Well, she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people, something that she's been doing from the very start of this campaign and something that she certainly did when she was President Biden's running mate as vice president. But look, you just mentioned the speech she's going to be giving in
that's right. I was asking about today, and I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country. They hit nearly every battleground state last week. On the campaign trail, they raised $36 million within the first 24 hours of Governor Walz joining the ticket. And what she's going to be doing Friday is taking her economic message directly to the voters in North Carolina. I certainly don't want to get in front of exactly what she's going to say, but she's going to talk a little bit about how she's going to make sure that she's putting consumers first as part of her economic plan. She's going to take on corporate price gougers. She's going to take on junk fees. And that's something that, John, she did when she was Attorney General of California.
Where is Kamala Harris?
Something she continued to do as the United States Senator of California. So she's going to be taking that message out to voters, and I look forward to seeing what
He is not having it. This guy is not having it.
What she's going to say on Friday.
I think we all do, and I'll ask you more about that in just a second. The reason I was asking about today is because it seems like she has time, if she wanted, to do an interview.
Is the media being honest? No. What? Did he just say that out loud?
More of what she's going to say on Friday.
I think we all do, and I'll ask you more about that in just a second. The reason I was asking about today is because it seems like she has time, if she wanted, to do an interview with a member of the media or do a news conference, correct? There does appear to be that time if she wanted.
Well, look, she has said on the campaign trail that she would be doing an interview at some point. She said that, I think, last week during a rope line or when she was talking.
Yeah, it's not working. Sorry. Even the media, audiences, late night audience, people are starting to realize. And I think that's backfiring. Let's go here real quick to the CNN reality check on the polls, man. Are y'all ready for this? Let me turn the subtitles on. Here we go.
Enthusiasm, predict what's going to happen at the polls.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, the thing that we put out those poll numbers yesterday, New York Times, Siena College, we covered them. I showed you the Ipsos polling, all of which that showed Kamala Harris with clear momentum, enthusiasm potentially on her side. But I just want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here.
Yeah, let's take a step back. And I want you to listen to his words. We've been here before.
Potentially on her side. But I just want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here before. Mm-hmm. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times, Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is...
Don't do it. But they're doing it. Have you guys seen them doing it? They're like celebrating. Oh my God, we're up in the polls. We're up in the polls. We're doing great. As you can see, Trump down 9 points. 2016, we know how that turned out. 2020, we know how that turned out too, if you know what I mean. Don't pop the champagne, Kamala. Don't do it.
The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork. Do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ball game based upon where he is right now, and compare that to where he was.
Look at her face. She's like, oh no, he's coming again. I'm not going to come. I'm going to come.
In prior years.
We certainly heard the Harris campaign saying we have to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
This is definitely not over. All right. Let's talk about enthusiasm and how that translates actually. We are quite a ways out, again, 3 months about.
Yeah, you know, you
guys, this is the best part because she wants to talk about enthusiasm, but bro, watch this.
Translates actually. We are quite a ways out, again, 3 months about.
Yeah, you know, you yesterday I was mentioning, you know, the enthusiasm for the Democratic ticket was up. Yep. But that enthusiasm is not the same thing as going out to actually vote. Wow. And there's a different question, which essentially says, how certain are you actually going to go out and vote? And this is the top range. Almost certain to vote. Again, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This is among registered voters. Look at this. Look at Kamala Harris now compared to where Joe Biden was back in May. In fact, 62% of Joe Biden voters said they were almost certain to turn out and vote. Now,
it's gone down.
It's actually gone down a little bit. I would call this in the same general area at 61%, but it's basically unchanged. And look at Donald.
It's going down, but look at Trump's numbers. Trump's numbers are going up.
Said they were almost certain to turn out and vote. Now,
it's gone down.
It's actually gone down a little bit. I would call this in the same general area at 61%, but it's basically unchanged. And look at Donald Trump. He was at 58% in May. He's actually gone up a little bit now. He's at 60% now. Again, basically no real change. So the bottom line here is, yes, there may be more enthusiasm for Kamala Harris, but the fact is we're not seeing that necessarily translate in the almost certain vote. And one little other note, Sarah, I will note this. Donald Trump is more popular today than he was on August 13th in either 2020 or 2016. So the bottom line is, yes.
Yeah. Yo, the honeymoon is over, y'all. It's over. The honeymoon is done. Trump is literally, and this is all coming out after, this is the biggest momentum shift, right? They got a new candidate. She's younger. They're hyped about it. All the girls talking about, yes, we get our abortions. Let's do it. That's our number one, abortion and climate change. Those are like the two policies that I think that these people are, this is what they want. I don't know, whatever. But it just shows that this is all coming to an end and reality is starting to hit again.
One little other note, Sarah, I will note this. Donald Trump is more popular today than he was on August 13th in either 2020 or 2016. So the bottom line is, yes, Kamala Harris is doing better in the polls, but there's a long way to go. The polls can shift. The almost certain to vote hasn't actually shifted, and Donald Trump is more popular than he was at either 2016 or 2020 at this point.
Those are interesting data points, Harry Enton. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kate?
Joining us now, CNN political commentators Sir Michael Singleton and Paul.
Oh, man, that's too good. That is too good. But here's another one from Dan Goldman. I showed this last night, but I got to show it again. This is too good.
If I'm Donald Trump, I understand why he doesn't want to debate. Kamala Harris is
he's accepted 3.
prosecutor.
He said yes to September 4th, September 10th, September 17th. He said yes to a lot of them. So it's not that he's obviously afraid to debate.
No. So no. He had agreed to September 10th. Well, on ABC
with Biden, who got pushed out.
What's the difference? Why should he?
Wait. Babbling.
He not debate whoever the candidate is on September 10th as he agreed to? What is the difference between candidate Biden and candidate Harris?
He said he would do it. I'm just saying he's also agreed to other debates. You said he hasn't agreed to others. He has. It's the Kamala Harris campaign that hasn't agreed on the other side.
Why is he babbling like that? Somebody said the Rasmussen poll. Let me actually search this up while I'm live. Rasmussen poll. See if we find a video. They're hoping Kamala Trump is winning, but the corrupt. Okay. Let me look at this. Rasmussen reports. Can we watch this on YouTube? I think we can watch this on YouTube.
Now is Mark Mitchell, head pollster for Rasmussen Reports. So, Mark, I don't envy you right now because I'm sure you're doing a lot of interviews where the host is panicking and they're, Mark, tell me it's not true. Tell me it's not true. Maybe not, but at least if you had any window into my phone yesterday, I had at least 9 different people, some donors, some activists. Charlie, what's going on with this New York Times Siena poll? What's going on here? So, Mark Mitchell, tell us, what is the true state of the race, Kamala versus Trump?
Well, I think we've built up a lot of trust, and the people who are following us, let me tell you, are not freaking out, because exactly what's playing out right now in our numbers is what I predicted.
Well, this is Rasmussen reports right here. He's the head pollster. So let's see what he's saying.
Donald Trump was beating Joe Biden all year, up very comfortably. And the entire time we were polling on Kamala Harris, every time we poll, she's slightly less favorable than Biden. She underperforms him by maybe 1 point against Trump. And I said, well, if they switcheroo, like, nobody really cares on the Democrat side who the candidate is. The numbers we are going to see are the exact same before and after. Now, you know, there's always bounces and swings happen, and we absolutely saw that in our data. We poll every night, and I tell you what, every other pollster is polling every night as well. And what they saw is the same thing I saw in my data, which is the very first night, you know, out of the blue, everybody's like, Kamala Harris, the switcheroo happened. Donald Trump beat her by 16 nights in a matchup, 16 points. The very next night, it was down to 6 points. And then for a couple days, Kamala Harris in our polling actually beat Donald Trump by 2 or 3 points. But then it all faded. It's gone. The bounce is over. And we've been polling every night, putting out our big polls on Thursday. That's a cumulative aggregate of all of the data. And what I'm starting to notice is that nobody's putting out polls this week. Everybody watching this should go to Real Clear Politics and just, look at the race right now and the general election 2024 race. There have only been 2 polls put out that have data any fresher than August 4th. So what I think is happening is I think the entire polling industry is trying to carry water for the Democrats right now. There was a slew of polls that came out when she became the candidate. And you're telling me all of a sudden, 84 days to the election, she just picked her vice presidential running mate and not a single poll except for like YouGov and Rasmussen?
And the New York Times Siena one, which was, so can you help us kind of deconstruct that one?
That one was just like 3 swing states. They picked the 3 swing states that were worse for Donald Trump. And listen, here's the thing. Trust is very important. People talk about transparency in polling. Let me tell you, if I wanted to, I could do whatever I wanted with these numbers. There's no amount of transparency that would make up for an unscrupulous pollster. And let me tell you how we're different from New York Times Siena. New York Times has a huge revenue line. They have a ton of money that they can throw at polling, and it doesn't really matter to them if they're accurate or not. If our polling is—
Wow, look at this. Michigan, she's up. Pennsylvania, she's up. Wisconsin, she's up. I just don't believe that.
Inaccurate, we go out of business. So I'm trying very hard not to be biased, to find the biases, to put out accurate numbers. And if I see no pollsters out there doing general election matchups, that tells me that they're seeing the same numbers I am, and I just refuse to publish the poll. New York Times Siena, I'm sure, was in the poll this whole last week asking general election matchups. So where are their numbers? Why didn't they put them out? Right? When are they going to stick their neck out and show that Kamala Harris, the honeymoon's gone? It's faded. There's no amount of bounce based on just press.
Bro, this guy is cooking, man. The honeymoon is done.
And 0 accomplishments. I mean, all the questions we've asked about her record are absolutely horrible. People think she failed as a border czar. People think her economic policies are going to be way worse than Trump's. So, I mean, to me, that's the fundamentals of the race. And again, sometimes info ops are successful. They do seem to be thrown very rapidly at people, like one after the other. No, Trump didn't get shot. Yes, JD Vance is weird. Like, these things happen and they kind of work. Right now, I think pollsters are ducking and hiding and waiting for maybe the beginning of the DNC, or I don't know, maybe while we're talking right now, everybody's dropping their polls. But I just don't see how, based on where my numbers were before the switcheroo and after the switcheroo, how anybody— I mean, Trump was up like 3 points in the Real Clear Politics aggregate before the switcheroo. It's going to go right back to that if it hasn't already.
So let's just repeat. What do your numbers show right now? What does your numbers show in Arizona? What do they show in Georgia, Pennsylvania? Not the national polls, but walk us through kind of the— so if Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, Georgia, he's president because he's going to win Iowa. He'll win North Carolina. He'll win Ohio. He'll win Florida. I already have those in the safe category. So therefore, if he wins Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona would be nice, but it's not as necessary. It's done. So let's go one by one. What is your polling show in Pennsylvania?
I just want to step back. And again, the top line national numbers. Last time we put the big one out, 5 points up Trump in a national election poll, right? So that is like a 12 or 13 points reversal from where he was 4 years ago. I just want everybody to understand that as the context for the swing states. Polling in swing states is hard, especially now that everybody goes to online panels. The online panels in the states are really small, and every swing state poll is smaller than a national poll. It's going to have a larger margin of error. We went into the swing states in July, and in every single one of the six swing states in a multi-way matchup, we had Donald Trump up from 1 point all the way up to 9 points in Arizona. We had him up 5 in Georgia. I think we had him up 3 or 4 in Pennsylvania. So we had Trump comfortably winning every single one of the swing states, closest in Michigan, tied in a two-way. But again, there's a larger margin of error there. But what's important to point out, in that poll, that particular sample, when it was all collected, Trump was winning 3 points nationally. So for Real Clear Politics aggregate to have Trump up 3 nationally, I don't care what the swing states say. They're going to probably look pretty similar to mine, right? And I mean, we'll have to see, right? There's tricks that people are going to do when they put these swing states out. They can pick specifically when to sample. They can aggressively squash results that they think are outlier data points. They can surreptitiously switch the way that they weight and oversample Democrats versus Republicans. That's one of the tactics I think a lot of people are using right now. I can proudly say
they're trying to make it easier for the American people to digest Kamala beating Trump, even though that's not really. I see where this is going. This is not going somewhere good. That's why these polls are like, it's BS. We saw when the media was ready to turn on Joe Biden, they turned on him. And the media, basically, in my opinion, is manufacturing this support and these polls and this hype around Kamala Harris to actually beat Trump, when in reality, the polls were showing she was way worse than Joe Biden. Really? So it is pretty crazy. I mean, look, you got CNN coming out, giving a reality check, not to pop champagnes, because Trump has been here before. In fact, a lot of people, there was a big poll in 2016 for the election. Y'all remember that poll? It was a poll that had Hillary Clinton winning 98% to 2% for Trump. I remember that. It was a big poll. It's resurfacing the internet right now. And that poll was obviously the most inaccurate poll of all time, but it was a poll that came out that said Hillary was literally ahead in the polls by like 90%. And then when it came time to vote, that was not the case. Thank you so much for your donation, Miss Morgan. Gonna have a hard time saying your first name. What are the chances of the DNC swapping out Kamala at the convention? ? I bet they're trying to figure out how to do that. I don't know. That's a good question. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised at anything at this point. I really wouldn't. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to smash the like button right now if you guys can. Smash that like, share this video, share the news, share all of this. We'll be back with a bigger and better video after this, but please, if you can, smash the like button. Also, there is an election happening tonight in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar. We're going to be keeping track of that. We're going to be keeping track of Ilhan Omar's election, whether she's reelected or not. All right. See you guys on the next one.